think you have gone a little overboard in presenting me to this audience, because everybody would have the expectations would have skyrocketed by now the way you have presented me that he's one of the India's best. So it is not like that. So I should set the expectation to a realistic level before I go ahead and talk about evaluation. The thing is that when Dr. Kiran asked me that whether I can come and give a presentation on evaluation, I was a bit hesitant before, because I thought evaluation is something which everybody knows how to evaluate others, and it sometimes tend to become a little bit boring, because I am someone who comes to the stage and I want to make the audience laugh, and evaluation sometimes, as I said, becomes a bit boring, and I felt maybe the audience will not be that much interested to listen how evaluation is done. So to begin with, I must say that whatever I'm going to say today about evaluation, almost everything will be that what you have heard before. So I don't think if I would be able to bring something new to the table. But evaluation is such an important aspect of Toastmasters that the more and more we learn about it, the better it is for us, because it is more like a positive reinforcement of all the important points about evaluation that I will be making today. And I'm sure that after learning or relearning all of these concepts, you would be able to evaluate your speakers even better in future. So first of all, thank you very much, Dr. Kiran, for inviting me, for considering me worthy enough to present in your esteemed club. And even before I start talking about evaluation, I think how evaluation is done, I must talk about why evaluation is so important for a Toastmasters meeting. Now, all of us know that evaluation is said to be the heart of any Toastmasters meeting. And that is probably the reason why Toastmasters program is so successful all over the world. Because in any case we speak, right? Whether you are a Toastmaster or not, you would be speaking in a corporate world, in your personal life. But what is the biggest difference is that you get instant evaluation. You get feedback about how well you did. And because of the help of that evaluation and feedback, you are able to up your game. And you become better whenever you get that opportunity to come back to the stage once again. So that is really important aspect of evaluation. And in these 9 years that I have been a member of Toastmasters, I have seen people who have quit a Toastmasters club because they did not get a good evaluation, or because they felt that the evaluation was too harsh, or because they felt that they get same kind of evaluation again and again. And I have also seen people or members changing their Toastmasters club because they feel that they get too flowery evaluation in this Toastmasters club, which sometimes seems like a dishonest praise, which nobody likes, by the way. Okay, initially it is okay. For example, how I was introduced, I would say it upped my morale. I felt good about it. But if every time I come to Greater Noida Toastmasters Club and I am introduced in the same way, which I personally feel I do not even deserve, I may not like to come back again and again to Greater Noida Toastmasters Club. What I'm saying is that if a speaker feels that the praise that he or she is getting is not genuine, he may not feel good about it. After a while, one or two is okay. I'm happy the way you introduced me today. By the way, I'm not complaining about that. But what I'm saying is that if a speaker feels that every time he gets similar kind of an evaluation after his speech is over, then he feels that he's not getting anything new. And probably someone might think that his journey in Toastmasters is over and there is nothing more that Toastmasters can give it to him or her, which obviously is not true. Because Toastmaster, as we all know, is like an ocean. We can get as much from Toastmaster as much we want to get out from it. So that is important to know, that evaluation is extremely important, and anyone who is donning the cap of an evaluator, he should or she must understand that it is a very, very important responsibility and they cannot take it lightly. So now going to the second stage, I will say what evaluation is not. Now what we must also understand and realize that evaluation is not about the evaluator. Evaluation is about the speaker. And you must realize, you must take a side hero role in that movie of, speaker and evaluator. You should not try to hog the limelight. What I have seen is that sometimes in an effort to sound impressive or to impress the audience, sometimes the evaluator goes overboard. They do a lot of hand gesturing, a lot of drama, comedy, all those kind of things. And they try to steal the thunder away from the speaker. So what I'm saying that you must realize that the evaluation is not about you. The evaluation is about the speaker, and the focus should remain on the speaker. While I understand that evaluation is also like a performance, is like a mini speech, but at the same time, you should not go overboard with your enthusiasm that the speaker feels sidelined. and he or she would feel that evaluator has taken all the limelight, or whether on the other end it should have been on me. So what I'm saying is that please be sensible when you are evaluating someone. Don't go overboard in your hand gestures, in your drama, in your acting, in your dialogue. Don't do all that thing. I'm sure that humor can be added anywhere, and you must strive harder to bring in humor even in your evaluation, to not let it sound boring, to make it more engaging. But at the same time, don't go overboard, right? So that is important. Another thing, what evaluation is not an opportunity for you to tell the speaker that you know more than him or her, right? This is not a fault finding mission in which you need to, switch, you need to have that magnifying glass, and you need to find all the errors that the speaker is committing. So the tone of the evaluation has to be motivating at all the time. Even if there is not even a single thing positive about that speech, you still have to find something positive about that speech. And that is the beauty of evaluation. Because the objective of evaluation is not to tell the speaker what wrong he had committed in his or her speech, but to tell the speaker how can he improve even further. As I said, I have seen members who have quit Toastmasters Club only because they felt that the objective of the evaluator was only to bring that speaker down and not to bring him up. We must realize that as an evaluator, it is your responsibility to nourish the self-esteem of that speaker, because this is the I would say it is a self-esteem that fuels the personal growth, and that is the personal growth that it again I would say it nourishes the self-esteem. So self-esteem and personal growth are very closely interrelated. Why did I join Toastmasters? I joined Toastmasters because I would say I met the phobia that I had for public speaking, and I came to Toastmasters to find that support from all the people. And had the evaluator been harsh on my speaking performance, especially when I started my journey, I don't think I would have been able to continue, because I would have felt that this is the same kind of feedback that I get from my corporate life, not in words, maybe from their eyes. But here I'm not only getting it from their eyes, but even from their words. So what is the point of continuing in a place like Toastmasters? So that's why I'm saying that evaluation can be a make or a break for an individual. So you have to be very sensitive about how the speaker might feel after your evaluation is done. What evaluation is not? Evaluation is not an opportunity for you to don the hat of a grammar Nazi, right? You don't have to become a grammar police. So even if I'm a speaker and I made 100 of grammatical mistakes in my speech, I as an evaluator, I cannot go on and on talking about the grammatical mistakes that I had committed in my speech. Of course, as an evaluator, it is my responsibility to let the speaker know that there are grammatical mistakes. But it is not an opportunity for me to state all the grammatical errors that he has made in his speech. You can probably tell him nicely that I felt that you could have written your script well, you could have rehearsed it well, and then had presented this speech. This way you could have alleviated, or you could have avoided all the grammatical mistakes that had crept in your speech. It is not that every time you are nagging the speaker about the grammatical mistakes that he had committed. So again, what evaluation is not? Evaluation is not an opportunity for you to tell the speaker that you know more than him or her. It is not an opportunity for you to become a grammar Nazi or a grammar police. And it is also not expected from you to be too harsh or too dishonest in your praise of that speaker. Otherwise, the whole objective of evaluation will fall flat, and you may not be able to motivate the speaker to go a step ahead. So that is, again, which I would say is very important. And then, of course, when we're talking about the behavior of the evaluator, how should an evaluator behave? One thing which I've mostly seen in some of the new clubs, members say that I have given only 6 speeches. How can I evaluate someone who has delivered 10 speeches? Now, this is not the case. You do not have to be a better speaker than the speaker to evaluate that person, right? The objective of an evaluator is to give his perspective, his opinion, how he felt after listening to the speech. So I do not necessarily have to be a better speaker than the speaker himself to evaluate him or her effectively. That is something you need to keep in your mind all the time. I can evaluate Sonu Nigam as a singer. That doesn't mean that I have to sing better than Sonu Nigam. I can say that Sonu Nigam has sung that song, but in that song I somehow felt that the heart was missing, or that the tune goes haywire here and there. I can say that's my opinion, that's my perspective. So similarly, as an evaluator, you must understand that you are not God here. You're only giving your opinion. So anything and everything that you tell to the speaker, it is your opinion. You cannot and you should not speak on behalf of the audience. And that is why phrasing is extremely important. You can never say that the audience felt distracted. You should not say that audience felt engaged, or you could not say that audience was disconnected from your speech. You have to speak only and only about yourself. You could say that I felt distracted when you are moving your hands too much. Or you could say that I did not feel that connection when you were talking about that. I would have felt better if you had done that. So never bring in audience. You cannot speak on the behalf of the audience, because if there are 20 people listening to the same speaker, every single person in that audience may have a different perspective and opinion about that speech. So you are there as an evaluator, and you only have to give your perspective, your opinion about how you felt after listening to that speech. As an evaluator, it is your responsibility to be open, to be direct, but at the same time, to have some heart, to be more, I would say, calm and composed while you're giving the evaluation. You cannot be ruthless in terms of your criticism of the speaker, especially if the speaker is new in the club. Another very important thing is that you must evaluate the speaker. An evaluator must evaluate the speaker on the basis of the objectives that he or she needs to follow in her speech. What I've seen often is some of the new clubs is that even if somebody is giving an icebreaker, the evaluator is giving the suggestion about voice, vocal variety, voice modulation, movement on the stage. So that doesn't make any sense. The person is coming to the stage for a very first time in his life. Of course, if the speaker is already speaking really well, you can take that permission in terms of, you can use the language in such a way that you say that although I should not be commenting upon your vocal variety or voice modulation, but you have spoken so well in your first speech itself that I am constrained to give you a suggestion even here. But generally in an icebreaker, you cannot talk about so many things. You only have to talk about how you felt after listening to the speech. You do not have to comment about this body language and all those kind of things, which probably come in the later project. Because your purpose as an evaluator, especially when you are evaluating someone who has just come in the world of Toastmaster, is to promote him, is to encourage him, is to motivate him to do even better. So that is something which you must keep in your mind. Then there's another thing which I have seen. There is a tendency in some of us to give far too many recommendations. And it is quite possible. If I come as a speaker and I make 10 mistakes in my speech, that doesn't mean that I have to bring all those 10 mistakes to the fore in front of everyone. You talk about only the two major points that you felt which the speaker could have made better, and then probably the entire speech could have been elevated to the next standard. So that is really important. You cannot start counting on all the mistakes that the speaker has made. Otherwise, because it will definitely dent his self-esteem in front of all the audience, especially if he's a new Toastmaster. Another thing, if there is something on which the speaker has no control, you cannot comment upon it. So if there is someone who stammers, he has a habit of stammering, you cannot be an evaluator and be so heartless to say that you should strive harder to control your stammering. But of course he would be trying that. You cannot be the judge there and to tell that person that you need to do that. Of course he is doing that. If there is a person, there are people who cannot control some of their body movement. There are people who do something with their eyes. Because I am telling you this because I have seen this happening in some of the Toastmasters clubs. So he has no control over you can say his eyes close after eye closes after say every 2 minutes, every 1 minute, something of that sort. So as an evaluator, you cannot comment upon that, and you should not. And that is basically common sense. But we have seen that sometimes people do that. If somebody has a very strong accent, say for example, if I'm a Bengali and I've come here and I speak with a very heavy or thick Bengali accent, and it is not even clear to you what I'm saying, then obviously as an evaluator, you can tell that person that you need to try a little harder to make your accent a bit neutral. But that doesn't mean that a person cannot talk with any accent. It is not possible. Everybody cannot speak with an anglicized accent, and it would not even look good if everybody starts speaking like British people or US people. So you should not comment too much upon the accent that the person has, as long as the meaning is clear, as long as the pronunciation is not wrong. It is perfectly fine even if somebody is talking with an accent. So you should not comment too much upon these things. What also you need to understand is that evaluation is also a sort of mini speech. So there has to be a proper opening. There has to be the meat of your speech. And then obviously you need to conclude it well. And what is absolutely important here is that in the conclusion, you have to motivate the speaker. In the conclusion, you cannot bring in the feedback, or you cannot bring in the recommendation. Of course, you can do it in a nice way, but overall, the meat of the conclusion should be that you are trying to motivate the speaker. You should not end your evaluation with a recommendation. Of course, we all know about the CRC approach. Nowhere in the Toastmasters manual it is written that we must follow the CRC approach, but I have seen that almost all of us follow that approach. And I think this is a very, very good idea to continue following this in your club, because I've seen both the evaluation today, and I must say that both the evaluation were very, very insightful. There were specific recommendations that were given to the speaker, and I'm sure that speakers would be much wiser now after getting those recommendations. As an evaluator, you should not be vague about your feedback, about your recommendation. Like you should not be giving vague recommendations like you should try to be a little less nervous. And of course, everybody who will go to the stage, he will try to be less nervous. So that you're not helping the speaker by giving these kind of vague recommendations. You have to be very specific. So if you are saying that if somebody is come and is just given a technical say presentation, sort of a speech, and you tell that speaker that you need to bring in some sort of a humor in your speech, which could be right, because humor could be brought in any sort of speech. I think even in an eulogy, even in a obituary, you can bring in some sort of a humor to make the atmosphere a little light. But if you are giving these suggestions, maybe don't just tell them, show them. Don't just tell them you should have said this. How he could have said that. You have to show it to them. So instead of just giving the gyan, just giving the wisdom to the speaker and throwing your wise cracks to the speaker, you have to show to the speaker that this is what they would have expected from the speaker, right? So that is again some of the words we should. I am using that word because I am giving a presentation, but the words like should, need to, you have to. Now these are the words which we should completely avoid while you are giving an evaluation to the speaker, because as I said in the beginning, at the end of the day, it is only your opinion. You may also be wrong about what you are telling to the speaker. So you cannot make generic statement that the speaker should do that, speaker need to do this, speaker should not have done this. All these things are not required and should never be done. Never repeat your point. I may be repeating a lot of points because at the end of the day, we have a limited number of points when we are talking about evaluation. But as an evaluator, especially when I'm talking about recommendation, I've already taken care of the grammar part, that you should not talk about all the grammatical errors that the speaker has made in his or her speech. But even if you're giving some other suggestions, say for example, you want to comment upon the hand gestures, you want to comment upon the body language or the stage movement or whatever it is, you cannot repeat those points again and again, because after a while it would sound as if you are nagging that person. And that person probably is already married and he has already that experience in his home. So he doesn't want to be nagged even at a Toastmasters club. So that nagging sort of an atmosphere should never be there. You have said something, the speaker has understood. Even if you feel that the speaker has not understood, I can tell you that 99.99% of the time, the speaker is alert to every single recommendation that is being thrown at him. And he will take them with a positive spirit. And that is what we learn at Toastmasters. And that is how we grow. So it is important. There is no need for you to repeat the point that you have already made. That's what I'm saying, that self-esteem is something which is very, very important. Then again, you need to personalize the message. A speaker has come, he has delivered a speech, and you are in a way, throwing premeditated shots. You had already thought, even before the speaker has delivered the speech, that I will start with this point, I will say this, and I will end with this. Now that is the kind of evaluation that nobody likes, especially the speaker. Because as I said, evaluation is not about how well you speak. Evaluation is only about motivating that speaker and to let that speaker know that you were very attentive while you were listening to his or her speech. And if the speaker feels that you are not honest in your praise or in your criticism, then obviously he would not take in the feedback that you're giving to him. And you would have seen it in clubs, even in contests, that the evaluator will come, he'll start with a fantastic quotation. It doesn't matter how the speech was. and he will say that was a fantastic speech, and I was blown away with the kind of energy that the speaker brought on the stage. Although the speaker spoke very lamely, the speech was not even like that. But you come here and you're giving such a wonderful praise to the speaker that everybody, the audience as well as the speaker, knows that the evaluator doesn't know what he's talking about. So you have to be honest about what you're talking about, that evaluation, and you have to personalize that message. You cannot just simply come here and say the same thing again and again. The speaker was very confident, there was no nervousness, the eye contact was good. No, talk something specific about that speech, how well he did in that speech. Don't talk about the generic thing, how eye contact is important, how body language is important. Don't talk about those things. Everybody knows. If you are a Toastmaster, you already know about those things. Say in this point that the body language, the how the speaker said in that particular line. Say for example, you want to say, you are an evaluator and you want to give a suggestion, and you say that I felt that instead of just narrating that incident, you could have shown some sort of a dialogue between the two persons, and you could have done something like that, this and this, and you are showing it to the speaker. You're not just telling it, you're showing it to the speaker. And when you show it to the speaker understands in a far better way. And that is what you must try to accomplish. That you don't just tell them, you also have to show them. I understand that it is only 3 minutes, and in 3 minutes you have to accomplish a lot. But that is what the beauty of evaluation is, because evaluation also teaches us a lot. It is not easy to evaluate a person, especially if the speaker is brilliant, because then it becomes all the more difficult to find some sort of a recommendation for that speaker. But I can tell you, no matter who the speaker is, there will always be something that you can recommend to that speaker. And that's why I'm saying that you do not have to be a better speaker than the speaker himself to evaluate that person. You only have to give your opinion. And in a speech of 5 to 7 minutes, I'm sure that there will be opportunities wherein you can say that this is what you could have done. At the same time, I'm not saying that it is like finding that needle in a haystack. If you find nothing good, nothing to be recommended to that speaker, be candid about it. Tell the speaker that I tried really hard, but I could not find anything that I could recommend you. Don't just throw him from here and there and just recommend it just for the sake of recommendation, because that would be a blow to the self-esteem of that speaker, because he would feel that you were probably not even listening to what he said, and you are just bringing in your own inputs. Other important point I must say, which I have seen in some of the clubs, is that you have to comment, you have to give your feedback on the delivery, not on the content. Always remember this. So say for example, I am a speaker. I come here and I give a speech on, say, Kashmir dispute. And I may have an opinion about Kashmir dispute, although we avoid these kind of topics, but I'm just giving you an example. So I come here and I give a starting speech on, say, Kashmir dispute, and you as an evaluator do not agree with the line that I took in my speech. You cannot start debating with me. You cannot say that you don't agree with the content of my speech. You are not here to pass judgment on what I said. You are only here to say how I said it. And yes, if the content is completely absurd and preposterous, then obviously you can add in a few lines here and there, but you cannot start a debate with me. And you cannot say that I don't agree with that opinion of yours. You have, as an evaluator, you have no right to disagree with my opinion. You are only there to tell me how well did I delivered my opinion to the audience, and whether it was well structured or not, or whether it had any meaning or not, whether it added some value to the speaker, to the overall speech or not. That is the only thing that I need to comment upon. I cannot comment upon what is the content of that speech, in the sense that if it is a debatable sort of a topic, right? So that is again, which is something that we need to remember all the time. And then I've already talked about the contest. I've not talked about the contest. Now, if it is about an evaluation contest, now in evaluation contest, what is the main difference between an evaluation speech in an evaluation contest and a speech at a Toastmasters club? The biggest difference is that when you are evaluating a speech in a contest, then you do not have the objectives with you. You just have the generic objectives. You do not have the specific project objectives with you. So you have to evaluate the person as a whole, and you do not have to evaluate specific project objectives. That is the basic main difference between evaluating a person in a club meeting and evaluating a person in a contest. But other than that, everything else still remains the same. Whatever I have said, about how you should be evaluating a person, be it your tone, be it your body language. You can never be, even if you're giving in a contest, you can never have that sort of a condescending tone in which the speaker would feel that the evaluator is evaluating the person in a way that he is saying in a different way that I know more than you. So you can never have that sort of a condescension in your message. You should always be seen as someone who is there only to motivate the speaker. We have all heard that quotation by, I think, Roosevelt, that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So if they don't know that you really care about them, they would not even take your evaluation seriously. So you have to, you may be the most, you may be the fantastic speaker, you may be a fantastic speaker with a very rich vocabulary, but this is not an opportunity for you to impress everyone with your vocabulary and to pass on, I would say, fancy words or which are esoteric, which nobody even understands. Like, for example, I have used the word esoteric here. And I would like to believe that there may be someone in the audience who does not even understand what esoteric means. So what is the point of using a word which most of the people cannot even understand? So a speech does not become better by using fanciful words. Use simple words, but powerful words. And a powerful word does not necessarily have to be a difficult word. So you have a good vocabulary, but don't try to show off by using the words which probably half of the audience may not even be able to understand. So you have to be very sensible in the way how you are using your word. Always know what your objective is as an evaluator. And as I said in the beginning itself, I know that all these things that I've been talking about, I'm blabbering about almost the same thing which you already know. But what happens is that in a Toastmasters Club meeting, sometimes what we don't do is that before the speech, when we know that we are going to evaluate that speaker, there has to be some sort of interaction between the evaluator and the speaker. And obviously it is the responsibility of the speaker also to let the evaluator know that on which specific aspect of his speaking skills he wants to be evaluated upon. Say for example, now my problem, I'll tell you what my problem is as a speaker. I tend to speak a little too fast, right? Like I am doing here also. So sometimes when I give my speech, I tell the evaluator in the beginning itself, just see whether my pace was okay or not, or whether I was speaking too fast, whether I was modulating my voice or not, whether I was able to add in some humor in my speech or not. So in addition to the objectives that are there for that specific project, I will tell the evaluator that these are the points on which I want to be evaluated upon. I have seen people who have a tendency to mispronounce the words. Right now, as an evaluator, I cannot keep on noting all the words that the person is mispronouncing. But if the speaker has already told me that I have this proclivity of mispronouncing these words, or I have an accent, and I want to see whether I am pronouncing these words correctly. And there's already an interaction and engagement between the evaluator and the speaker. I can tell you for sure that the quality of the evaluation would be improved immensely. So that is something that is missing in many of the club meetings. So please, I would encourage you that even because what I have seen, especially after the pathways has come, people are not taking those project objectives very seriously. At the time when we used to have those manuals, everybody could see those objectives then and there. But now people, I don't know for whatever reason, they don't go to the pathway browser, and they don't see all those specific objectives that are mentioned there very explicitly. So please go through that objective. And as an evaluator, I would like to repeat it here. It is your responsibility to evaluate the speaker specifically on the basis of the objectives that are given there. And I can tell you for sure that if the speech objectives, the way the pathway manual has been designed, the kind of specific objectives that are mentioned there, and now we also have that ranking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think in a way it has become much more easier for an evaluator to see what exactly he needs to evaluate upon. But many of us are still not going to that chart and not seeing the specific evaluation input. So I would urge you, I would recommend all of you, if you do not have done that so far, bring in a pathway expert in your club meeting who he or she can explain to you how it needs to be done, so that the evaluation can be more insightful, can be more specific. That would help not only the evaluator, but more importantly, the speaker first. Because as I said, that the quality of the club does not depend upon the kind of speeches that are delivered in that club, but the quality of A club is determined by the kind of evaluation that are given in that club. And if the evaluation is not effective, insightful, and specific, I can tell you that members do not feel empowered, members do not see their own growth in that club. And there is a tendency that many of them wish to leave that club for sure. So all I've said, I may not have brought anything new to the table, but I've tried to underscore the important points about evaluation. And I would expect that all of you will keep it in your mind whenever you get that opportunity to evaluate the speaker. And having said that, in the end, I must say that both the evaluations that were done in your club today were very, very insightful, very nice. And I would like to see the same sort of evaluation in your club every time. And I have no hesitation in saying that Greater Noida can then become one of the best clubs that District 41 has seen. Thank you very much for giving me the time. And if you have any question, I am free to take in all the questions from you. Thank you.
The stage is open to the audience. Anyone wants to ask any question?
Okay, sir.